But now Mr. Trump is apparently launching a campaign to not just meet, but to actually become President of the United States. And Republican voters apparently don't mind the idea too terribly much. And I do not understand to think about that. I do not understand how to think about it. I do not understand what it means. I don't even understand whether or not this is politics. I just feel like I don't honestly know if this is just a celebrity reality TV thing that I don't get. Is this real politics? He kind of polls well.
Well, he's kind of a comic book figure. I mean, if you imagine in a Superman or better yet, a Batman comic episode, he would be like downtown developer, walking around with his trench coat, good-looking wife, lots of money, flash. He's a show-off, and he's the kind of guy, a sort of a Sinatra of land development, where the average working guy who doesn't have much money says, this is how I'd behave if I were rich. I'd have big buildings named after me. I'd have a beautiful wife. I may have several wives. I'd show off, talk about running for president even. I'd make fun of other people. I'd be kind of a wise guy, a show-off. I can't do better than that. And that's what he is. And I think that's the appeal. Just that. Fox
has said they're only going to put 10 of these guys on at once. At least if it happened anytime soon, by my count, Trump would definitely be on the stage, and that would mean that somebody else who might be seen as a more serious candidate, a John Kasich or even a Rick Perry or a Rick Santorum, isn't going to be there because Trump is. There's actual confusion that I just can't see. What I'm worried about is that I'm being taken for a ride, that this is something about a TV show that I don't watch, you know?
Rach, my friend, he's taken us. They like him on the way up. They're going to like him on the way down. Look how the press is going after Christie. Christie's always been good copy, and good or bad, whether the story's good or bad, Governor Christie's always going to be good copy, and so is Donald Trump. And that's the risk he's taking when he goes and puts his head into that noose and says, I am a candidate for president of the United States, that changes the rules of coverage. You're no longer covered as a colorful American comic figure. You're covered with the scrutiny and into sometimes the really toughness of politics. And that could be tough for him.
Chris Matthews.
He may really regret doing this. I don't know. He may well regret.
With you all
Can
year?
I give you a prediction?
Yeah.
It still looks like Hillary's the next president.
You think so?
Yeah, it still looks like that.
Oh, let's keep talking about it all year.
I don't think it's bold at all.
Chris, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rachel.
Chris Matthews, host of MSNBC's Hardball, which, of course, is weeknights on this network at 7 o'clock. But you already knew that. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Tomorrow's big announcement will be from the man who announces his announcements this way.
June 16th at Trump Tower, 11 o'clock, major announcement. Let's see what happens. Tomorrow at 11 a.m., let's make America great again. We're going to have a fantastic time. Stay tuned on all social media. We're going to be all over the place. Everybody wants to watch Make America Great Again.
Now, you may have noticed that I have not yet included Donald Trump in our coverage of the Republican presidential campaign this season, and that is because he is obviously never going to be president. He is obviously never going to be the Republican nominee for president, and he is obviously never going to be a candidate for president. What he is going to be is the host of a TV series in which former celebrities are mean to each other, the same job he has held throughout the Obama presidency. Donald Trump is going to announce tomorrow that he is thinking about running for president. And everyone who's been tricked into thinking he was going to announce something else will realize this is the 2015 version of the game Donald Trump enjoys playing during election seasons. And by the time they're counting the votes in the New Hampshire primary, Donald Trump will be back doing what he does best.
Gary, you're fired.
Maria Teresa, he is never going to file candidacy papers, and he's never going to make it to a debate stage. And I'm not sure when everyone else is going to give up on this. But, it's always fun. He makes it fun. I got to give him that. Well, I have never been wrong about Donald Trump, the politician. So my perfect record on Donald Trump, the politician, I think will be intact at this hour tomorrow night.
You're doubling down, Lawrence? You're doubling down?
Let's move on to the real candidates who actually will be on the debate stage, like Jeb Bush. All right, we're going to take a break here. But as we go, I just want to put up one graphic of the most important poll facing the non-candidate Donald Trump, who will never be a candidate. And that is that question to voters, Republican primary voters, who would you never vote for? Never, 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 ever vote for. 59% would never, ever, ever vote for Donald Trump. The next one down from that, 37% would not vote for Chris Christie. Donald Trump knows how to read that poll.
But look, this guy, to call him a loose cannon is an insult to cannons. He will get in those debates. They have clear thresholds of support in the polls. And although he's not very high in the polls right now, he's unquestionably going to go up considerably in the polls. I don't think enough to actually, win primaries, much less the nomination, but he will overshadow the main act. He's a sideshow who threatens to swallow the Republican Party. And by the way, if Trump gets enough support in the Republican primaries but doesn't win the nomination, which he's not going to, don't rule out him staying in and continuing to run for president after the nominating conventions. But Trump says we're getting beaten by Mexico. I mean, that's just preposterous, and so there's a level of demagoguery here, which is amusing as long as he's not actually kind of bending our political process. But what happened today suggests that he's moving from being a source of humor into something that is potentially a little more worrisome.
You saw it right here on the Ed Show, fellas. You were here. I hired him as a candidate. I think he's ready to go. Great to have you with us, Jonathan Alter, Matt Schlapp. Thanks for joining us tonight.
And so, as the ugliest presidential campaign in the television age draws to a close tonight, much of America is gripped in fear. Fear that the presidency will be handed over to ignorance, incompetence, and bigotry. But the latest polls indicate that if everyone who intends to vote tomorrow does vote tomorrow, America should have nothing to fear. Donald Trump has taken this country to the brink, and tomorrow voters are likely to take it back. We have one final Electoral College projection for you, this one from Larry Sabato, director of the University of Virginia Center for Politics. And joining us now is Larry Sabato with that projection. Larry, the last time you were on, it looked good for Hillary Clinton on your Electoral College map, but you had not called every one of the states. What's your final tally?
Yes, we foolishly have called them all, Lawrence. And our projection, I'm sure we're wrong on some, but our projection is that Hillary Clinton will get 322 electoral votes and Donald Trump will get 216. And that includes Clinton carrying Florida, North Carolina, and New Hampshire, which seem to be the closest states right now.
Anna Marie, so America has nothing to fear, according to every Electoral College projection, including the one today on Fox News, which has Hillary Clinton at 274.
Right. Well, we don't have maybe to fear a Trump presidency. I mean, there's still a lot to fear. I think now my biggest fear is that people, if Trump is defeated, will all wipe our brows and sigh and just move on and think that that's going to be it. The horror movie has ended and the monster has been defeated. Now we can move on. I think the sad truth is that Trump's popularity revealed some really ugly things about our country, and we're going to need to work on that. I am hopeful that this is going to be a fairly resounding victory, and that is going to put some shame back in people about the kinds of things that have come up during this election.
Let me be the opposite coin to Anna Marie on that, and let's look at the optimism at Larry's map. I mean, if Larry's map comes to fruition, what is going to happen is that Hispanic voters in Nevada and Colorado and Florida are going to be the ones that put Hillary Clinton over the top. So after Donald Trump demeaned and denigrated them and threatened to deport their families, what is more American than Hispanic immigrants exercising their constitutional rights tomorrow and families of Hispanic immigrants exercising those rights and being the ones to put the nail in Donald Trump's coffin? That's the one positive that I can point to tonight. And I think there are going to be a lot of people, a lot of Republican consultants coming on shows like this on Wednesday, and they're going to say, you know, if we took Trump's message to working class voters and just eliminated all of his misogyny and, you know, all of his maybe lack of tact, then we would have won. That is totally wrong. And if we go down that path, we're never going to win the presidency again. You know, the only path is to reject that and to have a new dynamic party that welcomes in young voters and Hispanics. And there's going to be a fight going on within our party for the next 4 years on that very point.
They essentially did not get this right. We're covering a story that no one saw coming.
Well, my crystal ball's been shattered into atoms here because I predicted the exact opposite of what happened. But I'm a typical, you know, campaign consultant type that we've been living and dying by data for a long time. And tonight, data kind of died. The exit polls originally were off. The polling beforehand, the most credible polling, was off. And Trump has built kind of a new model here. And I think it had two parts. One is he had resonant issues. People want to change. They want to punish politics. And I agree with some of the stuff Chris said about how the working middle class has had it, and this is how they riot. They vote for people that the establishment thinks are irresponsible. But the other half, and we can't miss this, is what a big generic Republican wave it was. There was a real repudiation of Hillary Clinton and I think the Obama third term. It needed two pieces to be such a different kind of thing, and I think they were both very, very powerful. So there's going to be a lot of soul searching should Trump win, and looking at the numbers, I think that's more likely than not, in the Democratic Party as well as in the Republican establishment.
What Donald Trump is offering in terms of policy is as radical a departure from normal American politics as anything that has ever happened in any of our lifetimes. I mean, he has promised political vengeance for his enemies. He has promised to jail his opponent in this election. He has promised to restrict the press in unprecedented ways. He has proposed banning Muslims from the United States. Even if you don't believe it, he has. He's not rescinded that pledge. He has pledged to rip us out of NATO. He has said he will go meet with Vladimir Putin. He doesn't care if President Obama is still in office. He will do it before he's sworn in. He has promised to create a national deportation force to go door to door, business to business, and throw more than 10 million people out of this country. I mean, if he does any one of those things that he has promised to do, our country is about to face some serious crises. And so, I mean, buckle up. Your country needs you at a time like this. This is, if he does any of the things he said he's going to do that are so outside political norms, the country is about to go through something that is going to be a radical shock, that's going to be a bigger shock than just electing him.
Kristen Welker covering the Clinton campaign. Kristen?
Have now confirmed that Secretary Clinton has conceded to Donald Trump. This concession took place in a phone call. We anticipate just moments ago. And as we are awaiting Donald Trump taking the stage here, that is the news at this hour. Secretary Clinton has conceded to Donald Trump. It is a stunning and shocking development, particularly for her supporters who waited hours here at the Javits Center to hear from her when it appeared as though the path was becoming too difficult. A number of them broke out into tears, started leaving early. Grief started to set in, one of her supporters told me. This is a political upset of huge, huge magnitude. Of course, she was holding the event here at the Javits Center, which has a glass ceiling, something that she was hoping to break through tonight to make history to become the first woman president. But it was not to be. Again, Secretary Clinton conceding to Donald Trump this evening.